Hi, I'm Effie. It feels like it's been a long time since I've filmed or uploaded. Sorry, you can see me reflecting in my glasses, can't you? Since I've filmed or uploaded a video with my face. But here we are today, and this video is going to be a book haul, but it's going to be a book haul with like a tiny twist. I don't think it's particularly unique. But with the exception of one book I'm talking about today, all of these books came from my local library. And this is going to be a video of two halves. So the first half is going to be books that I have borrowed from my local library. So I'm just going to be running through all of the books that I've recently taken out of the library and, chat with you about them. And then the second half is going to be books that I bought from my library because they are currently running a ex-library sale and have a whole heap of books that used to be library stock that they are selling for what is essentially dirt cheap. And I just thought I'd kind of go through those with you. Some of them I kind of felt like I knew what I was going to get with them. And then some of them was like, oh, it's floppy, I'll take it. So maybe I will be discovering these blurbs for the first time with you. So you're probably going to notice a very clear theme emerging as I am showing you what books I've borrowed from the library. And feel free to guess what the theme is in the comments. So first up, we have Electric State by Simon Stålenhag. And it is described as, in late 1997, a young woman and her small yellow robot travel west through a strange American landscape where the ruins of a gigantic battle drone litter the countryside, along with the discarded trash of a high-tech consumerist society addicted to a virtual reality system. As they approach the edge of the continent, the world outside the car window seems to unravel at an ever faster pace, as if somewhere beyond the horizon, the hollow core of civilization has finally caved in. And I think the primary reason that I picked this up was that the artwork looks simply stunning. I'm not sure if you can really pick it up on camera, but okay, this is not quite what I expected it to be, but yeah, like I don't know if you can see like just how that's a drawing, that's not a photo. Like the art is just beyond stunning, and it's got like double page spreads. So I'm very intrigued to pick this up and see if I vibe with it or if it's what essentially amounts to a cover buy, except it's a cover borrow. I apologise if the lighting's a bit weird. I'm trying to film with natural light, but my room's slightly strangely laid out. And then we have Notes from a Defeatist by Joe Sacco. I really enjoyed's probably the wrong word. I really appreciated his graphic novel Palestine that I read towards the end of last year. So when I saw that the library had another one of Sacco's graphic novels, I just knew that I had to pick it up. And this says, part documentary, part satirical autobiography, part satire, pure and simple. Notes from a Defeatist collects for the first time all the shorter works that launched Joe Sacco on the path to his 2-book-length masterpieces of comics journalism, Palestine and Safe Area Grazdi. I won't read any further into it, but I am interested to kind of see, maybe it'll give a little bit more background, maybe we'll get to see a bit more of his journeys in and around Palestine. And I haven't read his graphic novel on Bosnia, but maybe we will see some of that as well. The End of the Summer by Tillie Walden. I have had a mixed experience with Tillie Walden in the past. I really enjoyed On a Sunbeam, but then I think I've read one other, although I can't remember which one it was, but I've read one other that I didn't vibe with, and I think one other that I did vibe with. So I'm interested to see where I land with this one. But I had to pick up some Tillie Walden since it is June. Habibi, sorry, it really is very dark. Maybe I should like try and scoot back a bit. Is that better? I feel like you wouldn't believe it's like 11 in the morning when I'm filming this right now. The lighting's so bizarre. So Habibi by Craig Thompson. I genuinely don't know what this is about and could not find a blurb on the cover, inside, anywhere. But you can't really see it, but it's such a beautiful book. And it's one of those that every time I look at the graphic novels in the library kind of catches my eye and I go, ooh, I fancy picking that up and seeing what it's all about. The Woven Path by Robin Jarvis. So, gosh, it's probably a couple of months back now, but my partner B and I both buddy read A Fate Inked in Blood, and we made a video, which, if I remember, I will pop in the cards. And when we were discussing A Fate Inked in Blood, we got into a discussion about the fates, which I can't remember if they're called the fates in the Norse belief system. But anyway, we got onto a discussion about the fates, and then he brought up this series about the fates kind of running a museum, and it just made me really intrigued. And then I saw that my library had it, so I thought, yeah, let's pick it up and see what it's all about. A Stroke of the Pen by Terry Pratchett. This book, I have continuously just kept borrowing it from my library for I don't know how long, because for some reason this always gets pushed to the bottom of my reading pile. I will say, like, my library is one of those where you're not able to keep renewing something if someone's put a hold on it. So it's not as if I'm preventing someone else from being able to read it. But this is a collection of like previously unpublished short stories written by Terry Pratchett. I think they predate Discworld being published. But as you can see in The Dark Side of the Sun and Strata, even before Pratchett was writing Discworld, he had a lot of the elements that we'd come to know as Discworld in his works. So I'm very interested to pick this up. And it being a short story collection means that theoretically I could just assign myself a short story a day for, I think it's like 25 stories. So I could assign myself a short story a day for 25 days and knock it out of the park. Am I going to do that? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to reading it at some point in the future. In the near future, hopefully. The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. This is another author where I have had mixed results with. I've so far only read The Final Empire in Mistborn, but I had a really good time with that, and I really appreciated that I put down like midway through last year and I was able to pick it up as if no time had passed 6 months later from the point that I had stopped. And I feel like it's rare that I can do that with a book. So I appreciated that, in addition to the fact that it was just overall generally a decent book. Some of the action scenes were a bit poorly written for my tastes, but I generally had a good time. And then I read Tress of the Emerald Sea and absolutely despised it. So much hatred in my heart for that book. So we'll see how I feel about The Sunlit Man. I have actually started it. I don't know if you can see, but there is a bookmark there. But I had to kind of take it back and take it out again. Again, if someone had put a hold on it, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it's not that I'm preventing someone else from being able to pick it up. I don't know what I think about it so far. I'm not that far in. I'm maybe like 50, 60 pages. But I guess we'll see if I vibe with it. Blossoms in Autumn by, it just says Zidru and Amy De Jong. Says the body gives up faster than the soul. Time wrinkles it, wounds it, debases it. The body plays along, a good sport. The soul, though, is a sore loser. It concedes in fits and starts through painful revelations, through a series of frights. So I think this is about, in fact, I'm sure I found a blurb, but I can't immediately see it, about kind of the way that people age. But I honestly don't know. I'm sure I did read a blurb though and was intrigued. But also, like, the art on the cover has me thinking, ooh, this could be a really pretty graphic novel to read. Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation. I know surprisingly little about Anne Frank, and I've never, well, as I feel like if I'd read her diary, I would know a bit more. But I've never read her diary, and I don't really know much about her, so I'm interested to pick this up. I think it's probably one that's going to destroy me. I feel like her story didn't have a happy ending, but it's something that at my grown age I probably should have read at this point. So I thought, yes, let's read it in a graphic novel format, because, well, not that I think I'm probably going to want to visualize what happened in her life, but it would help me kind of contextualize and visualize it all. Paradise Lost by, well, technically by John Milton, but this is by Pablo Oledel. Again, like, I've never read Paradise Lost, but the artwork is what drew me to this edition. Like, it's such a, I mean, I don't know anything about art, but it feels like such a kind of classical sort of art style that you'd see in a gallery and be immediately, all the emotions were being evoked by it. And I'm just, I want to read Paradise Lost, and why not pick it up in a graphic novel format? Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Rosemary Valero O'Connell. I feel like this is one of those queer graphic novels that you always keep hearing about, but I genuinely don't know anything about it. So it says, all Freddie Ryle wants is for Laura Dean to stop breaking up with her. The day they got together was the best one of Freddie's life, but nothing's made sense since. Laura Dean is popular, funny, and so cute, but she can be really thoughtless, even mean. Their on-again, off-again relationship has Freddie's head spinning, and Freddie's friends can't understand why she keeps going back. When Freddie consults the services of a local mystic, the mysterious Seeker, she isn't thrilled with the advice she receives, but something's got to give. Freddie's heart is breaking in slow motion, and she may be about to lose her best friend as well as her last shred of self-respect. Fortunately for Freddie, there are new friends and the insight of advice columnist Anna Weiss to help her through being a teenager in love. Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell bring to life a sweet and spirited tale of young love that asks us to consider what happens when we ditch the toxic relationships we crave to embrace the healthy ones we need. So that just sounds incredibly sweet, and I can't wait to read it. Dear Beloved Stranger by Dino Pie. Clueless, naive, full of dreams and unemployed, fresh out of art school, our hero Dino is ready to start a new chapter in his life, but can't figure out how, and struggles to find his identity as an artist. With a little encouragement from a classmate, he sets out on a fantastic inner journey to wipe the dust off his teenage obsessions and reignite his passion. Yeah, I think it's just a case of the title got me intrigued, because who is this titular beloved stranger? I've got 2 more library books to go, and hopefully I'm not going to be quite so short on words. So this is Boundless. The typography is not terribly easy to read, but this is Boundless by Gillian Tamaki. I basically picked it up because I'm pretty sure Gillian Tamaki is like one of the authors that you go to where you go, okay, that's going to be a queer graphic novel. So it says, Jenny becomes obsessed with a strange mirror Facebook which presents an alternate, possibly better version of herself. Helen finds her clothes growing baggy, her shoes looser, and as she shrinks away to nothingness, the world around her recedes as well. The animals of the city briefly open their minds to us, and we see the world as they do. A mysterious music file surfaces on the internet and forms a basis of a utopian society. Or is it a cult? Interesting. There seems to be a lot going on, but I think it could be a kind of story that, well, it's probably going to be incredibly intriguing, and I just don't know what I'm going to get from it. And I love that feeling of it's going to be a surprise to me. And then the final graphic novel I've actually already read since taking it out of the library, and it's one that I will say not worth it, really not worth it, don't recommend, but it's Exit Wounds by Ruti Moden, and it's such a nothing story, and it also seems to just have no recognition of the world that it takes place in. So straight off the bat, I'm going to say this book is set in Tel Aviv, which already had my, like, is this going to be something I want to read? But then I saw that this had been blurbed by Joe Sacco, and I'm deeply confused because having read this, I have no idea how they got Joe Sacco to blurb this, because this feels like it's in opposition to what Sacco himself has written. I will say, like, it's not so much what this says as what it doesn't say, because one of the, like, events that's kind of core to this story, whilst, like, we don't see it on page, but it's kind of the catalyst for what little story there is in this, is that terrorist attack has occurred in, I think it's Hadara, and we don't know if our main character's father was one of the victims, but there's kind of no understanding about the wider context of that and whatnot. It's just, and beyond the fact that it's so blinkered to the world that it takes place in, and I thought it was going to say something and it really didn't. The story's just so meh. It's kind of a romance, but also there's no emotions there. It's just not a very good graphic novel, and it wasted my time. Okay, so those are all of the books that I've borrowed from the library. Now let's move on to the ones that I bought. Okay, I'm going to be super duper honest and say that I filmed this knowing that I had to go out in a little bit and thinking that I had enough time to do that. I'm not sure if I do really have enough time, so I'm going to go through these a little bit quick. I will be reading the blurbs for all except one, because one of them's book 3 in a series. So I will be reading blurbs for all of them, and I will kind of very briefly say kind of anything that drew me to them. But let's just start running through them. So, Death of a She-Devil by Faye Weldon. I mean, look at this cover. I feel like I've heard of this book, but I don't know. And as I say, the cover's very pretty. Ruth Patchett, the original She-Devil, is now 84 and keen to retire, but who can take up her mantle? Enter Tyler Patchett, a new kind of heroine, and Ruth's grandson. He's an ultra-confident 23-year-old man, beautiful, resentful, and unemployed. Tyler won't be satisfied until he can transition into the ultimate symbol of power and status, a woman. In Fay Weldon's 1983 classic, The Life and Loves of a She-Devil, women fought men for power and won. In 2017, men take a decisive step to get their power back. Okay, I don't know if when I read the blurb, that's what, like, if I took in, that's what it was. This could be a very interesting story. But also, I feel like I need to find a copy of The Lives and Loves of a She-Devil now. Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart. From Booker Prize winner Douglas Stewart comes an extraordinary, powerful second novel, a vivid portrayal of working class life, and the deeply moving story of the dangerous first love of two young men, Mungo and James. Born under different stars, Protestant Mungo and Catholic James live in a hyper-masculine world. They are caught between two of Glasgow's housing estates, where young working-class men divide themselves along sectarian lines and fight territorial battles for the sake of reputation. They should be sworn enemies if they're to be seen as men at all, and yet they become best friends as they find sanctuary in the Ducote that James has built for his prize racing birds. As they begin to fall in love, they dream of escaping the grey city, and Mungo must work hard to hide his true self from all those around him, especially his elder brother Hamish, a local gang leader with a brutal reputation to uphold. There is more to the blurb, but I feel like that gives you kind of enough of a sense of the story. Why are the pages off? I don't know, that's very odd. Like, I can see there's some pages that are kind of sticking up from the rest. But yeah, it feels like it's not been out for very long. I'm going to look and it's been out for a long time. Oh no, published in 2022. And I've only heard good things about this author, and I've only heard good things about this book, so I'm very excited to dive into it. And the fact that I got this book for a steal, amazing. This is the one that I'm not going to read the blurb for, but it is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. This is book 3 in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. I own book 1 and now I own book 3, so I guess I need to be on the lookout for a book 2. But since the book 1 I own is the paperback, I guess I'll just get any copy I can find for cheap of book 2. The Favourite by S.V. Berlin. I remember thinking I didn't know really what to make of this book based on the blurb, but like, look at that level of flop. Immediately had to have it. Edward and Isabel haven't spoken for years and live on opposite sides of the Atlantic. When their mother, Mary, dies unexpectedly, they are thrown together to sort through the family home. With Julie, Edward's diffident but devoted girlfriend, making an awkward third, each tries to make sense of their emotions and their feelings towards one another. Then Isabel makes a disturbing discovery, and her fateful decision has consequences for them all. This utterly immersive novel is rich with insightful and wickedly comic observations of family members behaving badly in stressful situations, of sibling rivalries, a parent torn between the two, and a grieving process that takes time to unfold. Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. This is the large print edition, but that doesn't particularly bother me. And I think all of the paperback large print editions have that gorgeous level of flop, so I just had to. I feel like Rosemary's Baby is like fairly well known, and I am interested in reading the book that I presume the film is based on, and just reading some classic horror. Rosemary Woodhouse and her struggling actor husband Guy move into the Bramford, an old New York City apartment building with an ominous reputation and only elderly residents. Neighbours Roman and Minnie Castevet soon come nosing around to welcome the Woodhouses to the building, despite Rosemary's reservations about their eccentricity and the weird noises that she keeps hearing. Her husband starts spending time with them. Shortly after Guy lands a plum Broadway role, Rosemary becomes pregnant and the Castevets start taking a special interest in her welfare. Rosemary begins to suspect that the Castevets' circle is not what it seems. Dun dun dun! Yeah, I can't wait to pick it up. Every Single Minute by Hugo Hamilton. Again, beautifully floppy. It says, touring Berlin together, Una and Liam unwind their pasts in small leaps of memory, both trying to make sense of their lives. They are all the more honest because they are pressed for time. Una has just a little over a week to live. She speaks of the key events in her life, her lovers, her famous father, her alcoholic mother, and the death of her younger brother, for which she still holds her father responsible. Meanwhile, for Liam, the weekend becomes a lesson in true living from a friend he is about to lose. I really like the idea that we're going to get their story unfolding in like snippets of their life, and as we progress through the book, we'll piece together, you know, everything about them and what brought them here. It sounds like it's going to be a touching, if potentially heartbreaking book to read. The Treatment by Mo Hayden. This is see, I could be wrong, but I feel like this is one of those horror books that kind of people recommend. I think even my friend Shannon might have recommended this to me. In an unassuming house on a quiet residential street in South London, a husband and wife are discovered, imprisoned in their own home, badly dehydrated, and they've been bound and beaten, and the husband is close to death. But worse is to come, their young son is missing. When DI Jack Caffrey, the Met's Amit squad, is called in to investigate, the similarities to events in his own past make it impossible for him to view this new crime with necessary detachment. As Jack attempts to hold his own life together in the face of ever more disturbing revelations, the real nightmare begins. Ooh, sounds amazing. We've got two Carrie Hope Fletchers. We have On the Other Side and All She Can See. I think I've read On the Other Side in the past. This is another one that has a long blurb, so I'll just read like the first paragraph or so. Evie Snow is 82 when she quietly passes away in her sleep, surrounded by her children and grandchildren. It's the way most people wish to leave the world, but when Evie reaches the door of her own private heaven, she finds that she's become her 27-year-old self again, and the door won't open. Yeah, I remember absolutely adoring this. It's a book where, like, you're looking, like, she's looking back on her life, and I think there's a sense of, like, the way your paths can branch, and it's heartwarming and a little bit sad, and I really enjoyed it. And then this one says, Cherry has a hidden talent. She can see things other people can't, and she decided a long time ago to use this skill to help others. As far as the rest of the town is concerned, she's simply the kind-hearted young woman who runs the local bakery. But in private, she uses her gift to add something special to her cakes so that after just one mouthful, the townspeople start to feel better about their lives. They don't know why they're drawn to Cherry's bakery. They just know that they're safe there, and that's how Cherry likes it. She can help them in secret, and no one will ever know the truth behind her gift. I mean, that sounds really sweet. And reading these two blurbs back to back is making me want to have like a little bit of a Carrie Hope Fletcher binge, because I've got, is it With This Kiss? I've got that one on my shelves as well, so just want to read all of Carrie Hope Fletcher now. And then the final book that I bought from the library, but I do have one more bonus book after this, is Wolves by Simonings? No. Sorry. No, it is Simon Ings. So it says, imagining the end. At school, Connie and Mickey cooked up all the ways the world could end. Years later, Michael imagines apocalypses for a living and lives inside fantasies of the fall. Conrad works in advertising, spinning aspirational dreams out of imaginary light. Will their reunion reveal who killed Conrad's mother? Will it make them a lot of money? Or just maybe bring about the collapse of Western civilization? Wolves is a surreal whodunit about what happens when unhappy men get their hands on powerful media. Part crime novel, part coming-of-age story. This is an informed, atmospheric, cutting-edge tale of the near future. I'm intrigued because that feels like a really well-written blurb that makes you fascinated to know what's going on in the story. And also, I just thought the cover looked really interesting, and it's got a really nice matte feel to it. And I'm a fickle person, and I like a pretty book. And then the final book that we've got, that I need to take the sticker off right now. I'm sure loads of people have been buying this because like it feels like a bit of a good get. But I'd seen that the Works had this and I was like, okay, I need it. It is Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young, and it was in the 3 for £6, but I only got this one. So I think it was £2.50 for this one book. And it says, when people-pleasing Chloe learns that her birth mother has unexpectedly had another baby, she doesn't hesitate to become a kinship carer. But failing to meet social services financial evaluation, she is faced with a choice: see her baby sister placed in foster care or participate in a new initiative where 2 prospective guardians will join households to qualify. And I'm not going to read any more of that, but I'm very excited. Like, I feel like Bonham Young's one of those authors that's kind of risen in popularity in recent years, and most of her books look very interesting to pick up and read, I guess. So those are all of the books that you can't see them, they're just off screen, but those are all of the books I've borrowed from the library and bought from the library plus one from the Works. I would love to know which of these books you're most intrigued by, and which of them you think I should pick up first. But that is all from me today for a very rare book haul. So until next time, love you. Bye.